So, for our founder to founder panel discussion today, our panelists will share what it takes to respectively reach the unicorn status. Allow me to introduce the panelists and also our moderator on stage. Over in Hong Kong, we'd like to say hi to Mr. Gnock Fah, co-founder and COO of Klook. Yeah, hi. We also like to say hi to Mr. Simon Loong, co-founder and CEO of WeLab. And also live here in Singapore, if you don't mind, please welcome Mr. Aaron Tan, co-founder and CEO from Carro. Thank you for your applause. And of course, as well, please welcome Mr. Shawn Low, co-founder of Better.com. A round of applause. This session today on stage will be moderated by Professor David de Cremer. Welcome back again. Gentlemen, have a wonderful panel discussion. Over to you.
Thank you. So this promises to be very exciting because we have men with ambition here. Because unicorn, it sounds like a magical creature, but it's one of those rare species who achieved more than $1 billion market value. And we've seen that about 8 years ago, you would say there's about a dozen unicorns, but now today it has increased significantly, actually. Even in the first 6 months of this year, if you see how much money has been collected, more than $300 billion, I would say, that helped another 136 new unicorns come to the surface. I think we're in a booming business and a booming industry. So without further ado, I would like to ask our participants here who have the experience. Of course, we want to know more about what makes someone to pursue, to become a founder, then pick up going from zero to hero, almost to say so, becoming a unicorn. What kind of visionary person do we have that, do we need for that? So I would like to ask each of you, what was your personal ambition? What was your inspiration, your personal motivation to become a startup? And grow into a unicorn? What vision, what inspired you? Shawn, okay, if we start with you?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. Right, and it's great to be here. Thanks, Huawei, for hosting this event, and it's great to meet. Thanks for moderating, and it's great to meet my fellow panelists. So I'll start off by first saying that I did not conceive of Better. Right, Better was always our founder and CEO's brainchild, Vishal. But I can talk a little bit about what was some of the earlier kind of motivations behind it, right? We came across an opportunity that we felt was very big. The mortgage industry, in the US is trillions of dollars, right, that are changing hands. And it was also something that we felt was just really wrong. And what was wrong about it was that we said, it takes more than 100 man-hours to produce a mortgage. Just think about that for a second. Right? It takes more time to produce a mortgage and more costs, 100 man-hours and $8,000 to produce a mortgage. And that is more than the cost it takes to produce a Toyota car. And what is a mortgage? A mortgage is a 500-page PDF that says that this person owes this person this amount of money, and if not, you get to take the property. And we said that seemed like a massive opportunity, right, that just was ripe for the taking. And so that was really what got us started. We thought it was a big opportunity, big market, right? And so we went for it.
Opportunity seeking, identification, jumping on it, but of course you have a passion for the topic as well. Now.
Yeah, exactly, because it was something that I think was something that we could all relate to, right? Because if you talk about something like home ownership is something that even in Singapore, it's in 90+%. Even in the US, you have well over 65, 70% of homeowners in a market and an industry that has traditionally just been very, very, very slow moving, right? Partly because of regulations, partly because of the structural nature of the industry, right? And so we saw an opportunity, as I said, it was a big opportunity, and we had the right team. We said we'll go for it.
Okay, perfect fit. So Aaron.
No, for myself, it was mainly because I was a venture capitalist for many years, right? More than 10 years by now. But let's just say that for me, it was two things primarily. Number one, I always look at the problems from a large market size standpoint. So for me, it has to be a large market. I think that's the first thing. Secondly, I think more altruistically, if you may, is to really have a product to solve a problem, right? I think that's really the motivation, at least from our standpoint as we started Carro. The motivation really was to resolve this issue of, you know what, where do I buy a car? Where do I buy a vehicle, for that matter, that I could trust, right? And from that throughout the whole process of so buying, right? How do you make sure that you're not being, taken advantage of, for lack of a better word, right? So stuff like that, and that really, at the end of the day, from my standpoint, is as simple as the motivation and the desire to create a product that could, I wouldn't say change the world, that could better the lives of people. I think that was really the motivation for ourselves as we started Carro, for that matter.
So again, you also saw an opportunity that's in line with what you want to create. It really follows your values. Hi, Eric and Simon in Hong Kong. So can I ask you the same question? Eric, okay, if you go next.
Yes, hi. Thanks for having me. It's an interesting setup from doing it live between Hong Kong and Singapore. No, but so on the personal front for me, it was an interesting juncture in my life where after a good number of years in finance, I was thinking about, should I go for an MBA? And basically, I forked out, I don't remember, maybe 200K, 300K US dollars for that. And then it arrived to me, it's like, oh, why not actually move that money to actually do a startup and get the learning kind of on the ground, practical experience, I guess, instead of an MBA. So that to me was that interesting kind of juncture in my life where it kind of motivated me to explore this entrepreneurial journey. But specifically about Klook and the business model, I think the fact that we were in Hong Kong is a rather small place. From day one, forced us to think about something that's of scale. And when we think about different businesses that we need to build around Asia, one of the biggest hurdle, which I think was mentioned actually earlier, was about multicultural, multi-language, a barrier that's actually, I would say, quite hard to break. And then that's where we came down to travel. Unfortunately, today we don't have travel, hopefully soon, but travel we truly believe is a universal language. Whether you are from China to all the way to Indonesia, etc., everyone has more similar needs when it comes down to travel. So it was all about scalability, starting from a small place like Hong Kong.
Okay. So it's interesting what you just pointed out. I want to say the $200,000 for your MBA. It's a story that seems to relate with a lot of founders as well. Like, do you still need that degree today, or do you follow your passion and jump on it? You had some of the finance and you dared it. I mean, like Leo earlier said as well.